Hi, this is Steve Wozniak from Apple Time. I've been around a while, and I'd like to express my opportunity to talk about why mentorship is important. When I was your age, I didn't even know what the word mentorship means, to tell you the truth, if you're students. I grew up with high education values. My father convinced me that, oh, I would, when we get educated, we are smart enough to do things and create new things, and we'll have jobs and money and a home and a family. And oh, that was so dear to me. And also that, he was an engineer, and I decided I'd be an engineer. Okay, and that takes a little bit of brain work compared to certain other occupations people choose. But I told my dad in sixth grade I would be an electrical engineer like he was, and he didn't ever push his values on us. And second, I would be a teacher, like my fifth grade teacher, Miss Scrack. I would be a fifth grade teacher in my life. And it's kind of amazing because I actually have done that. I've gone back and taught for 8 years in the local elementary and middle schools, because I don't know, it was just important in my heart, my whole life. I paid attention in psychology classes to how child's minds develop, and just younger people always meant so much to me. And I grew up in a house where you're sitting around the table. If you have a question at dinner time, pull out the encyclopedia, the World Book, and look up answers. Lots of that curiosity. Everybody kind of wants to know more about that's our way of learning the world, is finding out what's going on and how it works. I was a good student in math, science, electronics, and computers, just absolute, tops to genius. So I had that going for me, and that helps you explore your curiosity, especially in things like science fairs. And winning awards is never hurts very much. My life philosophies I developed, around 17 to 20 years old, just sometimes walking from around school, both high school, university. And I thought out a lot of things. When a few of them, I'm not going to give you my keys. And the reason is, well, you could read them in my book, I Was. But the reason is, you can't give other people keys to their own life, how they want to live and how they should. You shouldn't put your values on them. You should open them up to explore certain things people have done, but you have to choose that for yourself. And I decided, I want to be a good person, that life was not going to be for accomplishment and money and private jets. I didn't ever want to be the far ends of things, extreme wealth, extreme poverty, extreme, liberal conservative. I didn't want to be anywhere except in the middle, kind of a normal person, able to be smart enough to build better lives for us, like better home appliances so we wouldn't work as hard. I was shy, and I wanted to be liked by everyone because I was afraid to ever get in a confrontation with another human, even up to when we started Apple, even that long in my life. But so I wanted to be liked and be a nice person, not to criticize others. I wouldn't demean, wouldn't burn bridges. You know what? Basically, if there's somebody around that is in more need, though, help them. Help them. You have to be in that good position in life that you're a helper and you're not breaking down and criticizing others and only thinking of yourself. Okay, even before Apple, I would help and I would tutor. Oh, yes. I didn't know the word mentor then, but like in college, even, I would charge 5 cents for a tutoring session, maybe in a statistics class. And I was an incredible teacher. My students always got A's. And if somebody had a term paper to type, I loved typing. You follow your passions. I wanted to show others. And I would, for 5 cents, I would type from midnight till 6:30 in the morning to type up a term paper back when we didn't have word processors and you couldn't cut and paste and you couldn't correct errors. You had to type every letter exactly right from their handwritten version. The first time I really encountered that word mentor was at a show called PC 76. Steve Jobs and I had decided to start a company if my company Hewlett Packard didn't want to do it, because I wouldn't leave my job there. And they turned me down, and we created a PC board. I can't remember if we had the PC board yet, but we had my prototype of what would become the Apple One computer. And we flew out to PC 76 in Atlantic City, along with, there were a few other people from the Homebrew Computer Club that had their own companies, and they were flying out. They were already selling products. They were ahead of Steve and I, but we knew we had a computer that was better than theirs for the cost and the ability to be a to be a useful computer to really solve problems. Flew out there, and while I was walking around, it was about maybe about 30 of these little two-person startups, sometimes from universities, just like New Jersey Institute of Technology, and it'd be usually about two people, and they've got this little bunch of chips together and proposing what could be a small computer or a small computer project for the future. And this one booth, this young kid, teenager, had I don't know, a metal case where he had folded the pieces of the metal over, and this could be a metal case for a computer. And there was an older man standing there, and I asked him what he did, and he said he was a mentor, that he helped this other younger student, be able to get some skills that might be useful, might have value, might make money. And from that instant on, I honored the word mentor. I wanted to be a mentor. This is the good thing, to have older people that know how that can help the youngers find a place in life. That's what it meant to me at first. And so it became very high. Think about if you have a newborn, you're their mentor, right? I mean, things, you can tell them, you can advance their mind, and that's what a mentor does. And you also learn that mentorship can take a lot of patience, but it's worth it. You do it because you feel it has that value. Over my life, I did an awful lot of advising. That was sort of one of my forms of mentorship. Young people that thought maybe they want to start a company someday. Maybe they have an idea. How do they make this? How are they going to ever get in the world? And I would always try to be as encouraging as I could. I would tell them everything from my own experience that applied to what they were doing. And of course, I had my own children too, eventually. And with my own children, I had this kind of rule. Young people are so important. That's how a mentor thinks. Young people need our help. They need to be made to think they have a good mind and they can make decisions and they aren't just a little slave to the elders. So in my family, the youngest child always had the first prominent say as to things like where we would go today, where we would eat, or things like that, or what we should do, what game we should play. I did also start doing some mentoring in elementary school with, there was one, of course I had my own son, but there was a fourth grade girl, and she was kind of dropping out of school and just didn't want to do any of the work or anything, had lost interest in it. There were no laptops yet, and young students, fourth graders, didn't have computers, but I took a big computer. I bought a big computer for her, took it over to her house. We assembled it. It took a lot of hours, and brought it up and how to use it. And okay, she had an assignment to write a paper that day, a little paper, everyone in the class. You might take 20 minutes and write it on one little sheet of paper by hand. I taught her how to do it on the computer. Back then, kids didn't know how to type, so it's one letter at a time with your finger. Very difficult. And we'd spend 2 hours, and we would do this night after night after night. And she really came to love our time together, but it brought her back into school. She became a good student. By the time she got to college, she would always make the dean's list. But I saw her saved, and I thought, could I save others? And that's why I went and I taught elementary to middle school kids how to use the computer for all the subjects in school that it can apply to. Not to be a computer genius or anything, but I felt I was helping other students, And if you can help just one person a year, you're doing so much an important job in life. When we started Apple, Steve and I were very young 20s. We didn't know anything about business. We had no money in bank accounts or anything. And an investor, an angel, believed in what we were talking about, computers for everyone. Mike Markula was his name, and he joined us. He had an equal share of stock to Steve and I, equal amount of the company. He defined how we should run our company, that marketing should lead engineering. He taught us all the positions in a company that you would have to hire for in a startup tech company, and what their responsibilities would be and what our responsibilities would be. He was the mentor of Apple. And really, over the early start of Apple, Mike Markula really is the one that got the credit for taking all the steps that made us successful. Now, mentors like myself, we can talk to young students and we can inspire them and make them believe in themselves and see examples of having a dream that came true. So that's good. And those who are mentored later on, when let's say they get helped by a mentor and it's successful, later on in life, they're going to be the mentors. They're going to pay it forward. And that's a really good, fulfilling feeling. So I definitely wish the best future to the students, alumni, and staff of NJIT. And I'd also like to throw out a thanks for this opportunity to express my views on a subject that I consider very important.